Hey guys, welcome back. We're going to be working on the Subaru again today. Today we are going to install a boost gauge, a air fuel ratio gauge, and this to mount them. I ordered the whole gauge cluster bezel for the dash, so I won't actually have a pod. It will be, I can get it out of the bubble wrap. This entire piece here for the steering column, so it'll look clean and closer to stock versus, you know, having an 8-pillar mount or just sticking them on top of the dash somewhere. So first thing I've done, I went ahead and got started a little bit. Put the car on a jack stand on this side and pulled the tire off, because we're going to try to use a grommet that just back up in here and then go into the engine bay, so we can come out up through here and get our vacuum here, run our wideband O2 sensor back behind the intercooler there. So I'm gonna get this fender liner out, and then we're going to see how much room we have to work with. Alright, a little more difficult than I thought it'd be. A couple of the clips were all dry rotted, but thankfully I'd already bought a set of them, because after working on my last car, I figured it happens a lot. So I got a whole set of those, so no problem. Had the old mud flap bracket, which the car didn't have mud flaps on it when I bought it. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave that off for now. I'll keep the bracket just in case for later. I might use them later down the road. But as you can see, it's got a wiring harness in there. It goes into the engine bay, and then we have some room in here, and then we have another one over here, and this grommet that goes down by the fuse panel, by the floorboard. So honestly, I probably will just go up through here with the wires to cut down on some wire length, just to be sure I have enough length to get all the way across. But let's go ahead and start pushing some wires through. Alright, just to kind of show you guys where it's going to be coming from. So the wire here goes down through there, comes out there. I'm gonna run it along the top with the other wires. It goes in that grommet right there. You can see right there, and it will come out, hopefully, wish I could see, there we go, out of this blue port here. If I can get my fat finger in there, you can see right there, it'll come out straight through there, and then we'll go up and they'll be mounted here. So I will take this off in just a minute and put the other one on, so we'll have a spot for that gauge. Alright, so that we can measure exactly how much wire we're going to need, we're going to go ahead and pull this off. I looked for a second, but there is no screw holes or anything. So it looks like it just pulls straight back. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to pull it straight back and get it off, and we are going to go ahead and fit the new one. Alright, now that one is off. So this one is just going to press right into place. That was the door hitting me in the shin. That felt great. Yeah, we're gonna do that. I'm going to run the wire up to where the gauge will be, so I can kind of see how much slack I need, and then I can go ahead and wire tie that back into the wheel well, get the plastic back in place, and be done with that part. Alright, so I have this wire for the boost gauge pulled up to here. My boost gauge will be on the left side. Just kind of ran it up best I could through here. Now I'm gonna zip tie this to my lights here, just so while I'm zip tying the other stuff, it doesn't get pulled down and then I have to redo it all. And then as soon as I get that zip tied, I'm gonna come up and fix this wire where obviously it doesn't need to hang there. So, and then I can get that grommet right there, push back in, and get this cleaned up there, and then we will use this to hook into our brass fitting here that I've already got put together. So you put your thread tape on, screw that in, get your boost gauge line here, just a vacuum line. This is the hose they gave us, but man, it was kind of small for that barb. It's about as far as I got it on there. I'm gonna try to push it on a little bit further, but it's definitely not coming off, I'll tell you that. It took me about 5 minutes to get it that far on. So and then we will have our vacuum source for this end. So I'm gonna get those wires cleaned up and that wheel well, and then we'll continue on. All right, now got it all zip tied up, and I've got, you know, the end of the zip tie is snipped so it looks a little cleaner. Gonna put that grommet back in there, and then we will zip tie the wires in the footwell. Alright, so here is where we have our vacuum line coming out of the brass fitting. I have it coming down and under here, which tees off right there where that white T is, and then it goes down, and then you know, right here into the intake manifold. So now I'm just gonna clip these zip ties just to keep a little extra pressure on them, make sure they don't come off, and then that'll be it. Well, unfortunately I was not paying attention, and that is a hex head, which I do not have. Apparently it's a 10mm hex head. I don't have one, so I'm gonna have to go to the store and pick one up so I can tap into that. So what I'm gonna do is just go ahead and run wires behind the dash and everything, get that out of the way, and I'll get the wheel well put back on, because I'm done with that. Get the tire put back on, and I'll leave the grommet on for now, just so no heat escapes. But we're gonna run the wire. Let's see if I can get down here to show you. Just straight through there, pretty much to the other side, so that I can get that to the gauge, and then that grommet. Oh, I have to pull that out of the way so you can see where it goes. But as soon as I do that, I'll show you. Alright, as you see, that just pushed out straight behind there. You know, obviously I'm not going to leave it under the pedals like that. That's just to show kind of where it comes from. If I can get it closer, yep. Right under there. I mean, it literally just goes under the dash. Now we'll walk back around here so you can see exactly where it came in at. right there. So just push it straight through there. Now, I mean, it goes straight through. It had no resistance at all. Alright, so before I go get that Allen head, I went ahead and ran the wiring harness, both wiring harnesses for the air fuel gauge up where they need to be, and plugged them in. It's going to be easier to plug them in before you get the gauge faces put in there. There's no real way to get to it with that this shroud. So, and I unzip tied this side, and I gotta push it back. I got the wire going up in it also. So now we're gonna try to wiggle this in there, because it's really just held by the friction of the rubber bands. So you kind of have to maneuver it in there. I'm gonna get those in, and I'm gonna get the shroud pushed back where it goes, and then I'll let you take a look at it. Alright, so the gauge cluster is put back in, or the cluster shroud, I guess, and the gauges are fitted where they are supposed to go. So driving, you know, it'll look like this right here. Got your boost gauge, got your air fuel gauge. So I like how they look. Much better than them being all up here, all across the top. I think this looks a lot more clean. So I'm gonna go get that Allen wrench, or Allen head, so I can get that O2 bong off, and get the O2 sensor put in, so then I can run that through that grommet up there, and then I will do all the fun wiring stuff down in here, which is going to be my least favorite, honestly. I hate wiring stuff, but yep, I'll be back. Alright guys, we are back. Got my 10mm hex head, and went ahead and got some of this as well, because, you know, it's an exhaust piece, it's gonna need it. It worked really well, actually. It wasn't very hard to get out, thankfully, but then again, it is an aftermarket downpipe, so you know, one that's been on the car since factory, maybe harder to get off. But so I got that screwed in. You can see it there. Definitely screw that in before you try to push that through the firewall, because it's gonna have to keep spinning around and around and around. So, you know, you're gonna want that free. So I got that put in. We got the grommet here pulled down, and you're just gonna push that straight down. I mean, just literally straight down. There's not even padding there in the way. Thought there was gonna be, but there wasn't. Here it comes. There it is there. And, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but yeah, I mean, it just comes straight down over the padding. So the padding doesn't even go up that high. So we have that there, and then we will hook this piece to it, and then we'll zip tie it up out of the way, and probably put a tie on this, you know, for all the extra that we're gonna have. So yeah. All right, so I have that wound up, zip tied and tucked up in there, so that'll be out of the way. Now we have to start wiring for the power and ground, and didn't mean to drop you. Then we should be good to check it out and make sure I didn't screw anything up. Alright, so I got it all wired up down there. I was gonna video it, but really I just could not get the camera in there. It was just too tight. I used the ground right behind the fuse box. It is well, right there in that hole, there is a ground bolt. It's where the fuse box is also grounded, so I used it. And for the power, I just honestly used my voltmeter and found me a good power source, and tapped into it. So we are going to make sure everything comes on now. Alright, well, they're lighting up, that's a good sign. Let's see if I can get the wire out of the way of my feet. I can go ahead and start her up. All right. And there we go. Now I'm gonna clean up down here, so obviously I'm not tripping all over these wires. Clean up my mess, and I will be close to being done. Well, thanks for tuning into the video. Make sure to check back next week. I'll have a electronic boost control solenoid and a fuel pressure regulator going on, both from Cobb. Now it's just time to unwind, grill a couple burgers, and I'll be back.